for your kind introduction, madam. Good morning, one and all.
Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good response, ma'am.
Okay. So today my topic is handwritten signature verification research avenues. Before I start my presentation, I would like to render my humble pranams to His Holiness Swamiji, Jagadguru Shri Shivaratri Deshikendra Mahaswamiji avaru, and thank Dr. Chennamma for this opportunity. Indeed, this is a very interesting and very informative faculty development program where Madam has tried to combine two different disciplines which are so interrelated and intervened, intrinsically binded by itself. Like digital forensics or forensics in by itself has a lot of applicability or in biometrics, and biometrics has a lot of usage in forensics and so on and so forth. Now, with the introduction of the topic, today's topic, handwritten signature verification, before I move on to this presentation, I have a simple question with all my dear participants over here. Can you remember, like, when was your first signature done?
In school days, ma'am.
Yeah, in school days. Upon what document had you signed?
Most probably marks card.
Probably marks card, or receiving the marks card, or at the time of admission on the ledger book, along with your parent's signature, or if you had opened an account in the bank, on the application over there. And if there are any participants who is between the age group of 22 to 26, they might have hardly done any signature on the document, and rather would have done more signature on the devices, handheld devices. However, whenever we talk about a signature, it gives an unique identity to the human being. Like any person has a unique identity based on this signature. It's not only the handwritten signature that we talk about. It could be the walking style, it could be the dressing sense. So anything that unique we carry upon, we say it to be the signature of the person, like signature step, signature dance step, or signature styling mechanism, so on and so forth. However, when we start with this today's talk with the introduction of biometrics, I know that many of the eminent speakers already have spoken a lot about biometrics, and my guru, my real guru, Dr. D.S. Guru, has spoke upon handwritten signature with a very deep architecture model case study presentation also. However, I take that introduction and go along over here. Biometrics refers to the identification of humans by their characteristics or traits that they carry within them, that they possess by from the time of their birth, or that they carry or cultivate in the due course of their growth, and so on and so forth. Why is this biometrics so important in our day-to-day life, or why it has been considered as so significant means for its applicability is because of the uniqueness it holds, the universally acceptable modalities, then permanence, easily collectible, highly performable, and accepted by everyone, circumvention, reliable, and because of these very good characteristics, the biometrics have been so widely accepted and appreciated. Coming to the applicability of the biometrics, it could be for human identification, recognition, verification, and authentication. I hope all of us remember Dr. Guru Sir's talk. He gave a clear distinction between the recognition, verification, and identification, like 1 to n, n to n, or n to 1, and so on and so forth. And based on the application level and its usage, we consider whether we go for identifying a person or recognizing a person, or verifying a specific activity of a person, or authenticating a person to perform a specific activity using these biometric traits. Now, moving on to the types of biometrics, already we know this, that there are the two major biometric characteristics and major categories. That is, one is physiological and the other one is behavioral. And the popular physical biometrics are face, iris, fingerprint, and so on. And behavioral biometrics is handwritten signatures, voice, and so on. Comparing the physical biometric with behavioral, there are three, I've considered three different or interesting factors. One is which requires expensive hardware to capture the traits, such as for the face recognition, a sophisticated camera which can capture the face from a far distance, or for iris capture, a very sophisticated sensor-based camera is needed. And it can be captured without the consent of the person, and of course it's easy to counterfeit. Whereas when it comes to behavioral biometric, it is with the conscious state of the mind only you can collect the trait information, and it's not so expensive and it's very difficult to counterfeit. Yes. Now, moving on to the interesting topic of today, that is the handwritten signature, which is most widely accepted means for person identification. Not only for person identification, it has a lot of applications in almost all parts of our life, where a document comes into the role, or a transaction comes into the role, where financial transformation comes into the role, and so on and so forth. Okay, so what is this handwritten signature for that matter? It's a process of signing, originate from the intrinsic properties of human neuromuscular system, which produces the rapid movement to form a signature sample. Okay, stop at this point and ask a simple question. Can anyone tell me over here, please tell me, like, how did you decide the design of your signature? How did you decide the design of, yeah, tell me please.
Based on our name.
Pardon?
Based on our name. So how
yeah,
the name is?
It is, of course, always it's based on the name. But my question is, you could have written your name as a straight set of characters, but still you adopted a design into it. Isn't it? Some mechanism of designing your name in a specific pattern, which you would love to do, or which you would love to reproduce a number of times. Like, what made you to decide the design? Can anyone have that answer?
So that it should not be easily forged by someone else.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, that is the basic need and characteristic. My question is, you have a specific curved way of writing your name, and generally the signature will be of that type. So you have put a specific design component in writing your name to be called as a signature. Okay, what made you to put that design component into your name?
I think there is no, specific idea, copying something or nothing. It comes on their own, and they just do on their own idea.
Exactly, madam. Exactly. Yeah, that is the answer.
They themselves design the signature.
Yes. Yes, exactly. That's what. When we are being asked that, we don't have that answer for us. Like nobody taught us like how a signature need to be done. We have been taught to write our name using the characters, but nobody taught us. So it is the intrinsic feeling that a human being like possess in them or will have in them, and put a design component into the name and write it. So it's a word with a person identifies himself or herself, and as such will have a greater personal significance than any other word he or she writes. I hope all of us will agree with this. We have a personal significance in writing the signature. Like one of the participants said, like they don't want anybody of the people in the world should copy it or forge. I mean, yeah, I'll talk about it later. Yeah, that's the importance of handwritten signatures. Coming to the verification or authentication or recognition by manually or manual signature verification system, it varies from person to person. I hope all of us remember Dr. Guru Sir's talk, and Guru Sir told, and it's a fact too, that the teller in a bank has a specific intelligence within themselves, that they have a person dependent features based identification. I mean, of course, it's a science and been taught to them for the teller how to identify the signature and so on and so forth. But still, based on the additional knowledge the teller has, they identify the XYZ and so on and so forth. And it depends on the skill, experience, and level of concentration on task and so on and so forth. Actually, in forensic science and verification of signature in the hall of court law, in the court of law, it's been generally given. It was generally was given to the person, okay, who has the skill and experience, and they have a human mechanism of evaluating. Like they would generate a table, write down like how many curves are there, how many straight lines are there, and so on and so forth. And based on that, they used to compare the existing signature with the sample signature and so on and so forth. But it would lead to higher error rate because there are so many dependable factors. Henceforth, we need an automated handwritten signature verification system. Okay, because here the enrollment is intuitive and fast. Okay, like it could be the non-invasive, non-intrusive. Then, of course, because it is automated, the response time will be too fast. Okay, with less storage requirement and with the efficient algorithm of verifying the signature, we can come out with less less time taken to perform the task. And moreover, very interestingly, automatic signature verification system involves the aspects from disciplines ranging from human anatomy to engineering and from neuroscience to computer science. So this is what I wanted to make the introduction of today's talk, that automatic signature verification is so beautifully interleaved with the human anatomy and neuroscience, okay, along with the computer science and engineering. Yes. Coming on to the applications of handwritten signature verification system, e-governance. When you see, even though we have been telling that we are moving towards the paperless office and more of digitization and so on, but still we can see that a lot of documents is being authenticated only through the signatures. Even today, any of the banks or will or any other document for that matter, even the memorandum of understanding or any other such documents as a signature component in it and plays a vital role for the authenticating of the document or reusability of the document or applicability of the document for further usage, okay, based on its genuinity, and so on and so forth. Of course, in any of the document, the content of the document is so important, and equally important is the signature at the end of the document. And that signature in the document itself will add a value to the content of the document or authenticates the content of the document. However, very important content or very intrinsic content might be there in the document. Unless and until we don't look at, we don't find a signature upon it, we don't authenticate it. Okay. Yeah, when you take with the bank check leaves or withdrawal leaves and so on and so forth also, unless and until there is a human handwritten signature, okay, that check leaf will not be appreciated or will not be encashed. Okay, nowhere even the facsimile will not be appreciated. So when it comes to education or forensic applications, the handwritten signature verification plays a very important role. Yeah, there are two major or main types of handwritten signature verification, online and offline. As already Dr. Guru sir has explained a lot about the features that has been obtained by offline and online. I would add up a simple point that the third dimensional data of time is being added up in online along with all other two-dimensional data that we have obtained from offline. So online signatures have been obtained through various, these are the, writing on the note or a document and scanning it is one of the acquisition mode of offline signature. When it comes to online signature acquisition, many types of devices and varied types of devices are available, which I'll be talking in detail later. Yes. Now, coming on to the forgeries. Yes, from day one, many of us have heard a lot about forgeries. As soon as we hear the word forgery, the signature comes into our mind. Actually, there are many other types of forgeries also, as Dr. Chennamma has worked a lot upon image forgery, then picture data forgery, so on and so forth. But still, as soon as we hear the word forgery, the signature component comes into picture. And in handwritten signature, there are three varied types of forgeries based on the intrinsic details that is being copied from the genuine signature. That is the random forgery, simple forgery, and skill forgery. In random forgery, the forger does not have an idea about the name or the signature. Okay, whereas in the simple forgery, the forger will have the idea or detail about the name of the signer, but not have the usage or will not have the information about the exact signature of the genuine signer. Whereas in the skilled forgery, the forger has the accessibility to the signature, and with some trial and error or with some training mechanism, okay, the forger will try to reproduce the genuine signature with an intention of malpractice over there. And come with full confidence of replicating the genuine signature. So based on these definitions, we can understand that skill forgery happens to be a major threat for handwritten signature verification, because it might have a lot of significant similarity with the genuine signature. Yeah, this is the general automatic handwritten signature verification process. Dr. Guru sir has explained a lot about this in his talk. We have an acquisition mode, then we perform some pre-processing, extract the features, apply upon to a specific classifier, then go with the decision. Okay, and the knowledge base has already has the sample data set with it. Okay, and we have put into the applications. Okay, and very important over here in automatic handwritten signature verification processes, depending upon the applicability in the application, we go with either authentication, recognition, identification, or simple verification of whether the signature is a genuine or a forged signature. And sometimes of the applications, this application identification is being established. Yeah, this is a very generic process, but significant contribution for the last 40 years have been visualized in almost all these four major components of the verification system. That is pre-processing, feature extraction mechanism, almost all algorithms pertaining to the image processing, pattern recognition, as well as machine learning is being applied on to this handwritten signature verification. Yes. Now let us discuss the major issues that is being need to be addressed over the automatic signature, handwritten signature verification. And based on these issues, I have come up with a few research avenues that is being not yet completely achieved, even though the research on handwritten signature verification is being taken place for the last 4 decades, and very eminent researchers have worked a lot upon it, and very sophisticated laboratories have been established across the globe to perform this research. Some issues so one is the complexity of signature pattern. This again I discuss in detail what do we mean by the complexity of the pattern. Okay, is it language dependent, or is it signer dependent, or it is other algorithms dependent, so on and so forth. Then intrapersonal difference. Yeah, this is one of the major issue that is existing till now, and especially the financial sector always face a lot of problem in this. That is when it comes to interpersonal difference. As I already asked you a question in the beginning, like when did we start doing our first signature? I remember my first signature was when I was in 8th standard, when I opened a bank account in Canara Bank way back in 1984. Okay, I remember that signature. However, even after 40 years, my signature has tremendously changed, retaining some basic characteristics in that, and a lot of intelligence is needed to say that the basic intrinsic details is remained, and yet it has been changed. And after joining this institution for last 15 years, my bank people have taken my changed signature sample three times already. Every 5 to 6 years, I am finding a slight change in my signature. Okay, okay, that could be the due to the age factor. There are many other such reasons for leading towards the high intrapersonal difference. And low interpersonal variations, that is variation between the signature of any two subjects or any two people. The quality relies on the various circumstances. It could be the psychological effect, or the emotional, or it could be the physical characteristics, such as the pen that you carry, the nib of the pen, upon which paper, the space given to do your signature, the standing position, bending position, so many other reasons are there. Then short signature could carry very fewer information. This is another interesting factor in any of the human being. Generally, we will have, especially the working community, will have two distinct signatures. One is the larger one, and other one is the short signature. And of course, the short signature we don't use for any of the authentication purpose, but still it is being carried along with us. Then individuals with same name share similar signature. It's not such a serious issue, because as we have already discussed and know that even though the name is same, okay, the mentally designed signature sample is different from for one human being to another human being. And case study is also been done for a signature in twins. Even though they carry many of the similar biometric traits, such as face, eyes, and so on and so forth. Of course, iris will be different, but the signature will be entirely different. Then forgeries created by tracing or photocopying, that is what I said when I was talking about the skilled forgery. If they have adequate time, and if it happens to be in the offline mode where the third dimensional data is missing, that is the time taken to perform the signature, not the overall time, the intermediary time between the curves is also been noted and acquired in online signature, which is missing over there in the offline signature. So the skill forgery is a major threat in offline signature verification compared to the online signature verification. And volume of data. Yes, we all know that any of the bank would take only 3 to 5 samples. Of course, even though they take it in a regular interval, but still the sample size is very less. And we all know that we have to have an automated system designed with efficient classifier and architectures, different architectures, where it is a composition of training and testing model. And to train a model, we need a sufficient amount of data. And henceforth, the volume of data is a major issue over here. So with physiological and emotional influence also. Okay, like when you are signing on a check for a big amount to a person which you really don't like to give them, and it's just a joke, and so on and so forth, or in any other emotional influence plays an important role in performing the signature. Yes, this is a study by one of the researcher, that is the frequencies of the issues in matching any two signatures, and what are the issues and what is the frequency that it would occur. That is, the complexity of signature patterns makes the signature verification process harder. It's only 1.33%. Okay. Then difficulty to match signatures due to the wide intrapersonal differences. Yeah, this is what I said. It's little higher compared to the earlier one. Then the minimal variance of skilled forgeries with the genuine signature, again still high over here. I believe that if it were to be the online signature verification system, then it might get reduced, because however we get trained by the forging mechanism, when we are onto the task of performing the sign or exhibiting the signature, okay, there will be some mental hindrance, okay, which may not help in coming up with the complete replication of the genuine signature. Then the signature matching gets complex by random variations due to the writer's pauses or hesitations. Yeah, it's very less. If and only if with respect to the intrapersonal, that is the same genuine signature signer performing or reproducing after some specific time or a due course of time. Then short signature could carry fewer information than long signature. Yeah, why it is so high over here is, we believe that unless and until we have a lot of distinct features in the pattern of the signature, okay, more the features or more distinct features that we extract, more efficient classification system that we can build. So if the signature is too short, and which might not given significant patterns or the significant features from it, then it might not help for efficient verification. Then individuals with the same name, yeah, at least concerning shape characteristics, it will be different. Okay. Then difficulty to eliminate forgeries created by, yeah, it's again less. As I already said that depends on whether it is an online signature or offline signature. Yes. Now, moving on to the very important aspect of today's talk is about the database. I was talking about these patterns, X and so on and so forth. There are many offline signatures publicly available. When you look at this third column, we might feel like, what is the role of this script in the signature? Yeah, can anyone please let me know what could be the role of the script, or what could be the role of the language in the signature? Anyone in the audience has signature other than English in any of the regional language? Hello? Hello?
No, ma'am. My father is having the signature in his regional language.
Hindi, Devanagari. Which language? Which regional language?
Hindi language.
Okay, okay. Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Can anybody tell me, like, yeah, tell me, continue.
Yeah, his name is Arun. So he used to write instead of
okay.
A. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, that I have seen many of the signers, they mix the regional language with the English and have their signatures. Yes, sir. My question here is like, do you believe that is there any influence of this script upon the signature? Can there be any influence of the script on the signature?
Yes, ma'am. I think it can affect the complexity of signatures, like how complex the stroke formation is.
Okay, yeah, correct.
And it is difficult. It is difficult to forge Because generally it's a psychology. Okay, his name is Arun, so he will write A, but we cannot predict it's a A.
Yeah, correct.
Because they're different language in the Bengali or in the different Tamil language, so there are different symbols for the different letters, right? So we
Yes.
cannot predict.
Yeah, that is one applicability. Like my question was, is there any influence of the script on the signature? Like majority of the publicly available database is in English, and that they call it as the Western script. Okay, and very few in the regional language. And nowadays, many of the researchers have worked upon the regional language signature verification also. We also had developed offline signature in Kannada, and we called it as MUCOS, Mangalore University Offline Signature Repository. My point here was to make clear that definitely there will be some implication or influence of the script in the signature, because when we design an algorithm which would suitable for Western language, which has a different script, okay, might not or may not give the exact result on some regional language, which is of very different curves and lines. Like when we look at Kannada, we can see a lot of curves over there compared to English. Similarly, if you look at Bengali also, okay, it is lot of with curves than the straight lines or slant lines. But when it comes to what Chinese and so on, no much curved features are available over there. So when we use some algorithm, the pattern recognition algorithm to extract some specific features over there it might not yield the same efficient result what it has yielded upon the Western signature, that is upon the English. Okay. See, these are a few offline signature publicly available database. The fourth column here says how many G9 samples, G9 signature samples are there, how many forged samples are there, and how many writers are there. See, in the MCYT 75 data set, there are 75 writers who have produced 1,125 G9 signatures and 1,125 forged signatures. And very interestingly is it is taken in two different sessions. When it comes to these sessions, and when we look at this SIGWI-COMP 2015 data set, it is taken in several sessions. Whereas when it comes to the tenancy in signature, okay, it is collected again in different sessions. Okay, what do we mean by these sessions? Generally, in the bank, when they ask us to give the sample signature, it will be in a one go. Okay, so it depends like on the specific day when I'm giving the sample, what is my mood, what is the pen, what is the book, or what is my writing position, what are all the influence factors that might influence on the signature. Okay, so the sample set should be so varied that the data that need to be collected in several sessions. Okay, see, when you ask a signer to do 100 signatures, in 10 minutes, when you ask the same signer to do 100 signatures in 10 hours, in the varied time interval, okay, definitely you can find the lot of variations in the intrapersonal signatures. Okay, so these factors also influences. These are few commonly publicly available data set on online signature. Okay, yes. The year in the online signature, has been used over there. And here you might see the finger drawn signatures did not use their real signature. Okay, whereas here the acquisition is a 15-month time span when they were collecting this signature. Okay, then in the SVC task 1 subcorpus, only dynamic were taken and did not use their real signature. Okay, so if this is the intrinsic details of the device which is acquiring the signature. Okay, and a lot of research scope in today's research relies on this. Okay, that I'll be talking in detail. Yes. Now I move on to the today's major topic is the research avenues. The first research avenue lies in the signature verification on real-world documents. Yes, see, at the end I will show you like a few the real-time works that has been carried out based on the result. When I come to these two corpus list, that is the offline corpus or online corpus, okay, it's very much sure that, okay, this completely accepted or publicly available database, okay, the signatures are extracted or acquired in a very sophisticated manner, okay. Got it. Whereas when it comes to the real-time application, and if you want to do the verification on the real-world document, there comes the real challenge. Okay. What are all the challenges over here? The major challenge is distinguishing the signature. Okay. Distinguish the text and the signature, that is fine, okay, but it depends on what is the background of the paper, okay. And when you look at this second example here, when you look at this second example, we can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, nearly 5 or 6 signatures over here. Okay, see, extracting this signature from the document itself is a major challenge. Okay, extracting this, and there the complete automation has not been achieved. Of course, we may extract this with some tool and then feed on to the verification system. It might authenticate. But the major challenge lies in extracting the signature itself from the real world documents. And we all know that if anybody of you have visited any bank and taken the loan, okay, the loan application would be 20 to 30 pages. And the teller would ask us to do the signature horizontally, vertically, horizontally, vertically at distinct locations in the same page, along with the specified location, so and so on. See, in the real world document also, if it were to be something similar to the check, where a specific location is dedicated position is given for the signature, okay, it might not be of so difficult to design a completely automated system, because we have a domain knowledge of how it would look like, where would be the location. In spite of that, if some people would perform their signature upon the varied locations, even on the check, okay, depending upon the pen they use, so on and so forth, other factors also, even it will be challenging. So there are two publicly available data sets. Signature data sets. One is DL, that is document signature data set, with 20,000 document images with 200 background samples. See, this is very, very interesting research topic to be carried out. That is extracting the signature separately from the background. with varied background samples means varied different type of documents. Okay, and many a times the document paper will also be colored pink, green, white, gray, like that, and different distortions in the image. Okay, then different types of pens and colors were used to avoid possible bias in learning. Yeah, this is the very interesting factor that we need to highlight and learn. Whenever we need to train our system, or whenever we want to build a model, we should not be biased. See, that bias we see in these corpuses where they have in the offline signature, they have a very sophisticated sheet, distinctly, spaciously designed, okay, extracted with a very good tool, then stored with a very good image processing, good processing, canvassing, and showing. But in the real scenario, the process is not so easy. So this is a very good data set because they have considered varied background, varied pens, as well as varied color of pens and papers also. So as with the Tobacco 800 data set, it is the composition of 1,290 document images collected and scanned using a wide variety of equipment. Yet another interesting topic here is what is the acquisition mode that you have considered for acquiring the sample. Okay, so varied variety of equipment. All of us know that we even today, I mean, we have many document scanners, tools available in our mobile itself, and we all know that our quality of the document varies depending upon the tool that we use. Okay, and the size of the document varies for its storage and so on. Hence, resolution and the dimension of the document images varies. This we have experienced a lot in last 2 years due to this pandemic, and the online examinations are going on. Our students, they scan their answer script in a variety of patterns. Okay, cutting of the head, cutting of the tail, or with the skew, slided, etc. With the varied variations, we can see the document. So the Tobacco 800 data set have considered almost all. This next research avenue that I wanted to talk about is the signatures stability and complexity. Dr. Guru sir and his team has worked very interestingly on writer-dependent models, and sir also explained that when sir compared the model with the teller in the bank, where teller has a unique mechanism of identifying a specific signer signature one to the other. Like Bharti's signature is different from Dr. Chennamma's signature, so the teller has a mechanism of it. And generally for last 8 to 10 years before, okay, this was not so concentrated or kept in mind when designing the verification model, automated handwritten signature verification model. Generic way of consideration of all the signature of all the subjects were considered in designing the model. But this is very interesting. And sir also explained that we could come up with a varied model for varied people. Like we can have a exclusively different model for Bharti, exclusively different model for Dr. Chennamma, and so on and so forth. Because based on the distinct characteristics the Bharti signature holds, we can have a adaptive way of extracting the feature and performing the authentication process, hence building up the model. And there is a lot of scope for even in this avenue. other factors that would influence the variation of the signature by the same person. Okay, can we build an adaptive model as and how the signature varies? Okay, the model can learn out of it by itself the variation. Okay, and then go with the verification system. Okay, here in this research avenue, we can also consider the psychological factor, emotional factor, age-related factor, okay, then device-dependent, many other factors, all influencing factors that would result in the intra-class variation. If anybody can take up a research on this, it will be a very interesting and a very contributing work it can be. Because nobody has done an exclusive study like why is so much of variation in the intra-class, that is the signature of the same class. The next research avenue is very interesting and wide opening is there in this, that is the interoperability issues in multi-device signature verification. Before I take up this topic, I would like you to take up two slides. Of course, it's been taken from a paper by Dr. Duo. Okay, they have come up with 15 different acquisition devices, and all these columns are the distinct features of each of the device. Okay, the distinct features of the device, not the signature. It's the features of the device. Okay, like the very first distinct feature is the what is the writing area upon the device. Okay, width versus height in millimeter. Second one is yet another very interesting and influencing factor upon this device is the what is the technology. There are majorly 3 different technologies being found in this 15 products. One is electromagnetic resonance technology. The second one is resistive technology. The third one is capacitive technology. If there are any of the electronics and instrumentation disciplined faculty over here or electronics interested faculty over here, you can have a large scope in designing an efficient device suitable for the variations that we would look upon in the next slide. Okay, then the pressure level, the force range, yeah, especially in this pressure level and force range, you might see it is not applicable to those products with the capacitive technology, and could find only in this other 2 technologies, that is EMR and RES. Then the sampling frequency, spatial resolution, accuracy of repetition in the XYZ directions measurement, and very interesting factor in online signature acquisition modes is the data encryption. So this we might understand from this last column over here that any of the online signatures been acquired by this specific set of products with this technology would have a specific encryption mechanism. Okay, so your data at the point of acquisition itself is being encrypted and stored. Why am I stressing over this? Because in the later case, we also see the lot of scope for cancelable biometric and digital forensic and template protection. Yeah, there are so many of the research has been taking place in these avenues also. So there, this encryption mechanism we built within the device itself plays very important role. Yes. Now the question, the major research avenue over here is upon the multi-device. Yes. See, this is written another very interesting paper and the data set. In this multi-device data set, the writing tools, there are 3 stylus-based tools and 2 stylus and finger-based tools, okay, in this data set. Why am I stressing over here is the research that need to be concentrated today is about the interoperability. What is this interoperability means here? Why is it needed so much today? Because we all know that the signature sample what captured at one place, stored at another place, okay, used in another location, and been asked for the yet in another location. Okay, in these 4 different scenarios, we might not expect the same device to be present, because as and how the technology grows, the sophistication in the device design is also been varying. However, there should be some compatibility being stored, being maintained across these devices. So the major research lies in the interoperability issues. Okay, like as we saw in our this table, okay, if a signature been captured with the electromagnetic resonance technology device, need to be authenticated with the device where the testing sample is being captured by a resistive technology device at the other end. Okay, how would the verification model would work over there? Because there are so many variations in these 2 devices acquisition modes, yet still the basic intrinsic details of the signature need to be stored in them and being used for the authentication purpose. Okay, yeah, that is the major challenge that need to be taken up now. Online signature dataset with the multi-device. There are 2 publicly available and very good dataset by BioSign and SVC 2021 evaluation database. I'll talk about this SVC later. That is, there are many competitions being held across the globe for this. Okay, many we can see here. Okay, in a gap of 3 weeks, in the gap of 3 weeks with 2 different acquisition setup. Okay, see here 4 G9 signatures and 2 G9 full names have been taken from, and from them only 3 forgeries are taken and full name forgeries have been taken. Okay, got it. So the database is very good over here. Yes, the next research avenue is about the, as I was talking right now, is with respect to the biometric template protection and the cancelable biometric. Why is of this so important? Yeah, it might not be with respect to the, this research avenue specifically is not with respect to only the handwritten signature. I'm talking in general. Okay. If and only if the G9 signature is being forged in a very skillful manner, okay, and then reproduced, we considered it as a major threat. The other major threat is instead of going with the forgery over there, okay, copying up the features itself and reproducing based on the features. That is with respect to the template. Okay, so how best you can protect it? Yeah, this is what I was talking with respect to the interoperability issues also. As we saw here, the encryption mechanism varies from one device to another device. Okay, so how best is your encryption mechanism? How good you hold upon it? Okay, how best you can securely store it for further transfer or further usage? Okay, yeah, there a lot of research need to be taken place over here because the real-time applicability comes over here. Okay, in storing the data, protecting the data, and reusing the data. Okay, I'm not only talking about the skill forgery over here, rather I'm talking about the protecting the template of this signature at varied levels. Either at the acquisition level or at the database level, okay, or at the verification level. Okay, so a lot of scope is there in these two areas. One is about the interoperability issue and this template protection. Yeah, before going to this research avenue of neuro disorder, one more thing that I wanted to talk about here in the interoperability issue is there is a chance that the signature sample is being acquired in the offline mode, okay, being used in the online mode, okay, or the signature sample acquired in the online mode being used in the offline mode. So there is no much research being taken in adding up this third dimension data or what subtraction of this third dimension data in these two what scenarios. Hope I am clear. The factor here is in the real-time situation, there is a chance where the signature might have been acquired in the offline mode, okay, but at the authentication position, the signature is being taken in the online mode. Okay, so at the testing end, the third dimension data is added, but still we have only the two-dimensional data. How best we can map this? Or the vice versa. At the acquisition mode, we might have taken up the data in the online mode. Yeah, that might not be so much difficult because anyhow the two-dimensional data will be there in the online mode also. Okay, and authentication is taking place in the offline mode. However, in the second scenario, okay, there is the scope of this intervening with the device also. Okay, how best the sample were acquired in the device could be used for the offline mode. See, all this I am telling with respect to the research openings. Okay, and no wonder one day this might be of a real need. Okay, why? Because see, never ever we had dreamed that for the last 5 years, 4 to 5 years, the face recognition system has reached to 100%. Okay, and we all know that in majority of the airports, the authentication or validation is taking place based on the facial biometric. Okay, but we never dreamt that there would be a mandate to wear the mask and move around. Okay, so how does these algorithms will work now? Because it was being trained for the entire face, and we all know that especially with respect to the passport or visa or in the airport office, they have a specific specifications how the picture should be taken for the sample data. Okay, with a clear background, white background, blue background, depending on the country. So that is for the sample data. And in the real-time scenario, when you go up, how would the algorithm would match? But here the major challenge today is the same algorithm should work for the person with the mask, or we have to disobey the rule, removing the mask for authentication purpose. So we don't predict that the situation of this interchange of offline to online and online to offline may exist. There is definitely a scope of it, and any one of us can even think of it. Yes. The next research avenue is assessment of neurodegenerative diseases. Yeah, quite a good amount of research have been taken place now. Okay, that considering the signature as one of the categorize the degenerativity of the neuro disorder in any of the human being, along with other traits also. Oh, and there is still a scope for this. See, that's why I gave you, I mean, in the introduction, we discussed that signature verification system is a composition of varied set of, I mean, carries along with varied set of disciplines from neuroscience to computer science, then motor engineer to regular engineering, computer engineering. Okay, so there is a lot of scope over here also. Yes. The last but not the least research avenue that I have listed over here is about the forensic document examination. Majorly, yeah, many of the speakers have already spoken about this research avenues in forensic science. Major avenue with respect to the biometric, with respect to the handwritten signature or handwriting is the document examination. Okay, I read a case study in the authenticate the signature, and the person from the forensic science had come over there and was verifying the sample signature and the test signature upon the document. However, in the due course of process, the entire scenario got changed up. What is that change in the scenario is that the forensic expert, he identified some other discrepancy over there. Like for example, in that situation, the variation that he observed was in the thickness of the paper. Okay, like for example, in the case study, in that specific case study, the document was supposed to be some 30 to 35 years old. Okay, and the present document that was produced in front of the court for authenticating the signature was on the bond paper. You might see that embossed bond on the paper. Okay, the whole case got ult up, that is back up down, like they said that no, first of all we need to resolve the validity of this paper. It is already 35 years old document that they are claiming, but the paper says that it is only 10-year-old. Likewise, there is lot of scope in the forensic science. That's for the case study. Okay, and with respect to the writer identification, with respect to document identification or examination, there is a lot of research that has taken place, and tomorrow our HOD Dr. Manjunath Aradhya sir will be talking on writer document verification or classification. So, major concentration in the document examination is, of course, there will be some variation in the signature, okay, of the same human being in the due course of time. But the expertise that need to be there is whether the change is natural. The change is through a natural process, or it's a natural variation, or is there any significant variation? Okay, that is, even the government accepted that there might be some variation in the signature, that is intrapersonal variation, but they are expertise in identifying that the integrity in the variation, like what amount of variation, whether it is intentional variation, whether it is natural variation. And these are some professional organizations across the globe dedicated to question document examination only. The Center for Forensic Science Laboratory in wing of they have many sub branches, and I think Dr. Channamma has worked a lot along with this organization. Yes. Now towards the end of my talk, before I there is a lot of scope for this. The okay, they have the verification. Yes, I'm extremely sorry that I did not talk about the metrics used in the verification till now. That is the false acceptance rates, false rejection rate, true acceptance rates, and true rejection rate. That is all these formulate confusion matrix and yield the equal error rate. Because I concentrated more on the research avenues, but still that plays a vital role in these computations, because after all, once we measure only with a specific metric, then only we can accept the task, a result of the task. Okay, see here, another interesting factor here is these signature computation data sets will have genuine signature, disguised signature. Yet another interesting factor, disguised signature. What is this disguised signature is? Bharti wantedly producing different signature, okay, and claiming it to be the original signature or genuine signature. Then the forgery, that we cannot call it as forgery because I am doing my signature in a different design or in a different pattern, okay, for a different purpose. Then the forgeries, that is random forgery, simple forgery, skill forgery. We have already discussed that. Then the number of authors, then the bad quality forgery, good quality forgery. Okay, what is this bad quality forgery and good quality forgery? Even though many a times we have been trained, but still we fail in reproducing it. Okay, then the overall error rate, so on and so forth. Yes. Out of and we understand that still there is some scope, larger scope for handwritten signature verification in research. I have considered few works of offline, recent works of offline handwritten signature, recent works of online signature verification, recent works combined with these two, and interoperability works, and so on and so forth. This is just for make you know that, or I want to discuss that what are all the varied methods in the recent works the researchers have considered, and very interestingly we can see that still none of the works have reached 100%, even though as I already told you that all these publicly available data sets are very sophisticated data sets. Okay, they are not as similar to any of the real world documents. Okay, the signatures are not as similar to the real world documents. Still, we are not able to attain to 100%. Yeah, these are other few works of offline signature verification. Yeah, nowadays we have been looking up that lot of deep learning algorithms have been used over even in the handwritten signature verification. But the major hindrance here is, as we know that in the deep architecture, the sample size should be quite large, and henceforth many are moving towards the reproduction of the development of synthetic signatures, enhancing the number to train, to build the model, and so on and so forth. So still there is a lot of scope even in that dimension. Few works, recent works that have been considered for online handwritten signature verification, and the methods that they have used. Okay. See here, the equal error rate is still 3.7. In the multi-operative, that is BioSig interoperable device data set, it is still 6.94. So a lot of scope in order to enhance all this. Yeah, this might be because of that sophisticated factor that I spoke about in acquiring the signature. Yeah, some works on real world documents. Here, the recession recall and precision is still 89 to 66%. So, I mean, just to boost people or just to make myself tell you that there is still a lot of scope to work in this dimension. Okay, where the challenge still relies in real world documents. Like as I already discussed that extracting the signature from the document itself is a challenging task. And here signature verification does not mean that the process of verifying the signature after extraction only in these scenarios. Yeah, the next set of what articles that I've considered here is about the interoperability issues. Yeah, here we can see that still the equal error rate over here. Okay, it is only this much, still scope is there. Okay, see all these authors, they have come up with their own set of devices. Okay, using these data. Final observation and scope for research is the possible existence of surgery, as I already told. Guru sir spoke about this. Always the false acceptance should be very low, and true rejection should be very low. Sufficient in the system. This I was telling to move the organisms. We need quite a large amount of samples to train the system or to build the model. To capture the but any of the researcher can come up with what special issue of this data set with like in triple IT, I think for people that are working to collect the ear sample. Okay, for that they have adopted a village collecting ear sample of the same set of subjects for every 2 years, and that is they are trying to collect it for some 10 years or so and build up a model. Likewise, I mean that might not be so difficult here. Then difference among the strokes formed in the signature by regional language and Western language signatures. This I spoke about now. Okay, so when you build a model, it should be so adaptive to any of the language. That is the key feature that you interested should be what concentrated in this. The acceptable response time of the overall system when automatically processing large number of documents need to be considered. Then major concern is on the need of the analysis of signature stability and variability. How much it should be stable, how much it can be variable. Okay, then signature complexity and reproducibility and many more scope is there over. Okay, so with these final observations, these are the few references I would like to. Okay, so I would like to thank one and all for your patience listening. And my special thanks to my mentor, Dr. B.S. Shekhar sir from Mangalore University, and my doctoral student, Bhavani. Yes. Now the questions and discussions.
Ma'am, what does this cancelable biometric means? Cancelable biometric.
Yeah, it should be irrevocable. Any biometric, it should be irrevocable. Like once you store it, okay, and reproduce it, it should have the same features in it.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Very interesting. Okay, ma'am. So if you have any queries, you can reach her through email. Anyway, she has showed her email in the last slide.
Yeah, I had kept last 5 to 7 minutes for questionnaires.
Ma'am, it was very informative, and you have enlightened us with a lot of research avenues and a lot of scopes in this area and lot of challenges. You have nicely listed and explained the future avenues. So if any budding researchers are here and really they can take up this work, and it is very nice, madam. Actually, you have enlightened us to a very different, that lot of things to be automated. Signature
Yes.
we do very nicely, and human can imitate the signature by practicing. But verification is very difficult by looking at the naked eye. Verification is very difficult. So automating is a beautiful concept. It is not so easy that what human does the mistake that has to be detected by computer. We have to train the computer. Is not so easy.
Correct.
Human is making a mistake, but computer has to detect it. While making a mistake, other human can't detect it. But computer, we are training the computer in such a way that it has to verify or detect whether it is a genuine one or forgery. So it is not a simple task. So I see that's why even today this topic is still having a lot of scope. It is there from last many years, and still it is there because of online signature has come into picture now. So everywhere we are putting online signature.
Yes.
Again, in online signature there are very different challenges arise.
Devices, challenges, yes.
So again, we have moved from conventional signature making to digital signature.
Signature.
So entirely, it became a new topic now. This digital signature
Yeah.
it is very difficult because we use many devices for making a signature. That itself is a making compatible to verify.
Yes.
The genuine signature itself is a difficult task now, and identifying a forgery is again it is a very difficult task. But signature is definitely recommended as a biometric triad. Yeah, all of us have to think about it. Actually, it varies a lot, but it is unique, and it can be counterfeited.
Yes.
But it can be verified. So it has a lot of diversity. Not like face. In the face, we will have expression. See, we cannot give different expression. We have limitation. We cannot smile very differently. We cannot show very different expression. But in signature, not only the doing the signature, but it has other aspects also, like devices.
Influencing aspects.
Yeah, devices also it has, and behavior pattern while making a signature also. The genuine person also will do different, a slight modification.
Correct.
He may also do. So it has but we cannot, at the same time, we cannot just deny that biometric trait also. We need that. It is very much needed. We have to
Yes.
look up,
Needed.
so all the way it is in halfway, I can say. It is not completely built on
Complete.
automated
Yeah.
system. Yeah, here we have to, as a researcher, computer science researcher has to take up, and they have to show their innovation here.
Yes.
Yeah, and also I would say that for few things we need a team of people to implement. Okay.
Yes, madam.
But
Yes,
for
yes.
signature verification, we don't need team of people, madam. I would say a single researcher also can do. They can also
Can do that.
See, like computer vision problems where we take there, one person is now deep learning and video, learning by video or deep faking, and implementing a automated car driving or that kind of things. So industry can develop because it needs a lot of human.
Yes, yes.
Power. But in this case, a single human can perform, or he can do his invention, and he can think, and something he can contribute which is very different. So that is all possible. So anybody can think over it, and it is a very good presentation. And main thing is you have spoken a lot on the research avenues, ma'am. So thank you very
Yeah, that was the topic.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Raised
Priyanka
her
Sharma
hand.
has raised her
Yes.
hand. Priyanka Sharma?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes. Am I audible, ma'am?
yeah, you are audible.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, that was a very informative talk. I have my background in a master's in forensic science with specialization in document
very good.
examination. So, ma'am, I just want to
Very
ask
good,
you,
very good.
yes, that I don't have computer science background. So, like algorithms and all. So, do you have any suggestions for me, like research-wise, that how I can pursue research, like without having knowledge, or do I need to do a course, a beginner course related to that, so that I can do research in this area? I just
Yeah,
need
you
suggestion.
can definitely do, Priya. Only thing is you need to have additional knowledge of pattern recognition, image processing, and so forth. If that is the additional course that you can take up and learn, definitely you can work upon it. Because anyhow, you have the background of all these forensic science. What is G9, what is Forge, all this knowledge you have. Only thing is now you need to automate it. What is your background? Engineering?
No, I have BSc forensic science. I have science.
Oh,
background.
okay. Anyway, you have the science knowledge and you have the mathematics knowledge. Yeah, that is enough. If you have studied mathematics in your degree level, that is more than enough. More than enough.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Priya.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am, for
Oh, thank you, madam. Thank you for the
presenting
opportunity.
such a diverse topic. Thank you very much. Okay, let us.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, one and all.
Yeah.